Tonight I present to you a murder mystery like no other. You will experience great amusement and you will laugh and you will be very distressed and sad at times. And could I warn you, there is a scene, a very graphic scene involving body parts. So please just steel yourselves for that. Now, ladies and gentlemen, tonight's performance is a minor miracle. COVID has severely disrupted our preparation. At one stage, the play actually wasn't going to happen, but due to the outstanding commitment of our cast, in a very short space of time, we've rehearsed intensely, quite a demanding play, and tonight it is ready. So that in itself is a significant achievement. The other significant achievement is that this play must surely be up there in terms of engaging student talent. Because not only has this play basically been driven by student initiative, student talent, student commitment, but Alesia Riches, one of the performers tonight and one of our Year 10 students, is also the writer of this particular piece. And I can speak as somebody who's reasonably experienced in these things. It is a fine script. There is variety, there's humor, there's sadness, there's drama, and it's very entertaining. It does go on for a bit. So I ask for you to just work with us, and yes, you will enjoy. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, thank you so much for being here tonight. It is absolutely wonderful to see basically a full house. And as always, I acknowledge the audience, because without an audience, there is no performance. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you ever so much, and give yourselves a huge round of applause.
There once was a grand manor at the edge of a small village, in which lived a family, including a lovely husband and his wife, and their two beautiful children, the Malcotts. With them lived their houseworkers, and life there was pleasant. For a short time. Until the tragedy of their oldest son, Henry. The loss, a stone that rippled through the quiet waters of their perfect world. But he is not yet a part of our story, because our story begins with a different tragedy. A terrible murder. But before we begin, be wary, for what you are about to observe is not what it seems. Set in a small English town, our story begins at the marketplace in June 1911.
Also, how was
Okay, Nebra's give us yours.
Oh, well, that's good. Stop pushing the Stick a spot in it. Give me all your pot spots. 7 spots for a pen. 7 spots for a pen.
8 carrots for a penny. 8 carrots for a penny. 9 tomatoes for a bread.
Hot bread for sale. Bag of hard street and potatoes.
I'll buy you a bread bar, but you can keep your legs and left. What do you think I am? Coming up?
Could have fooled me. When was the last time you bathed?
I said one whose granny skin makes me look like the slop of my shoe.
You've got it coming for you now, you have.
Come on, baby!
I have never seen so many atrocities in the same vicinity. I shan't even like to imagine the abundance my nostrils right this moment. Maid, Harriet, make quick work. The presence of the lower class offends me.
Of course, my lady. Psst. Who's the cow in the hat over there?
How will I know? Never seen a cow with a hat in my life.
The old pish posh in the fancy dress, but not an actual cow.
Well, I'll be darned if it ain't the queen on the hill who's come to grace us all with her presence.
Becky, it's been forever.
At least someone's happy I'm back.
There's so much to talk about.
Well, I'm not getting any younger over here. Go on.
Oh, I guess we'll have to talk more later. I have to help prepare for tonight's garden party.
Do come. Nothing else to do, so why not?
Also, have you met my Aunt Margaret? Just staying with us a while to discuss some matters at the bar.
Don't believe I have. Pleased to meet you, lady. Okay, well, get back to your shopping. I'll see you later. 5 o'clock.
Will do.
Oi, thief! Give it back! I don't know what moonshine you're on, Sonny. I ain't thief, and I didn't steal nothing. Don't you paint no me. You stole my potatoes, you spud. Your potatoes? Why would anyone want those speckled things? Not even the pigs on my farm will go near them. You take that back, you goat. You take back calling me a thief and I'll think about it. Think? You don't even know how our economy works. I don't even think you're capable of thought. For all I know, you're so batty upstairs you stole your own potatoes and it's blaming it on me. I'm scared, Phil. You pushed a little bit.
Stop. Alright, Bill, you claim that Gibbsy stole your potatoes.
I don't claim. I know. The little weevil won't fess up.
And Gibbsy, you claim that you did not.
I'm telling you, I didn't go nowhere near his potatoes.
Well, since neither of you can prove your innocence, Bill, you take this 5 minutes, and Gibbsy, you have these potatoes I bought myself. Now, can we all get back to our shopping?
Yeah, whatever.
And an apology from each of you?
Fine. I'm sorry, Bill. Fine. Sorry, Gibbsy.
Wonderful. Well, I'll see you all at the garden party. It's at 5 o'clock. Don't forget.
Ew. Just look at you, young lady. Hurry along home now and know that you'll be scrubbing every last pore until you're rid of that horrid commoner stench. Just what would your mother say?
Hurry, she says as she watches the rest of the servants die off.
Jeffrey.
And what do you call this? The party begins in a mere 30 minutes. I would be more entertained watching the lawn grow than cringing at your dreadfully slow pace. I cannot fathom why Arthur pays people such as yourselves.
I know. Just look at those tables. They're bare naked. An embarrassment. Bring them forward just at this instant. And those flowers. They look as though they've been sitting on their great-grandmother's grave for the past 100 years. I shall just about faint.
Why are you being so polite? Must they be so blunt as to emphasize how great and disgust stands in our presence? Please be so kind as to promise yourself to at least comb your hair before presenting yourself this evening.
Shameful. And what are you doing still standing there? It's almost time. Hurry, hurry.
Hurry. Says the 3 witches who've never worked a day in their lives. Just yesterday, Lady Margaret was complaining about how the tea was burning her tongue. So I did a dash of cold water, and then she fussed about how it was too cold.
There's just no pleasing some people.
Splendid! Oh, well, this place looks wonderful. Oh, look, the guests are arriving. I'll go fetch Arthur. Oh, Arthur!
Struth, this garland's worth more than all we Majesty's crown jewels.
Bless my cotton socks. I got my cotton socks to bless, Bill.
Thank you all for attending this evening's festivities. Now, please, enjoy yourselves.
Becky! To you, lady. Now, come along, dear Harriet. We've much to discuss.
Well, let's start with you. What have you been up to in London? Was it absolutely amazing?
Oh, it was absolutely amazing. You would have hated it, Harriet. Oh, you should have seen the people. I got a front row seat to some street brawls, squabbling over things as ridiculous as a brick of stale bread. I don't blame them though. I sure would have done the same thing if some weevil stole my bread. Speaking of weevils, producer gives me this morning. I wouldn't be surprised if he had a mad cow.
You sure have quite the taste for fun, Becky. But seriously, Bill and Gibsy have been at each
Enough
other's...
about them though. What has the princess been up to while I was gone? Well, it's a boy, isn't it?
What? No, don't be ridiculous, Becky.
Don't try to fool me. I see the way you look at him.
Look at who? You know what? It doesn't matter.
Of course it matters. I'm not surprised it's him, really.
I don't know what you're talking about, Becky. We're just friends.
We're just friends, she says, as she looks at him, butterflies fluttering in her stomach.
Becky,
Harriet!
I've had enough of this. Let's go play cards or something.
I'm sure Charlie would love to play around.
Becky!
Fine. I won't say out loud what we both know is true. What was that? Oh, cards. Love cards. Charlie, come over here. Harriet wants to speak with you.
You wanted to say something, Harriet?
No, Charlie, that was just Becky. I'm going to play cards. Margaret, Edith, Amelia. And to what do I owe this honour?
Quite the honour. I do agree. Now, Arthur, there is a small matter I should like to discuss with you. I have no doubt that you will wholeheartedly accept. It is about your daughter.
Harriet. No, the other daughter who happens to live in your family.
Yes, Harriet.
And to what are you proposing, Margaret?
To put plainly, I believe Harriet would make a wonderful bride to my son, William. I'm informing you of this matter, as I would like to propose an arranged marriage, and of course would need your consent.
I apologise, but to what benefit would this marriage be?
Why would it be in both of your best interests? Just think of the possibilities of it. Harriet would be with a strong, young gentleman, and you could have her taken off your tired hands.
There is truth to what you say, Margaret. However,
Why must your faith in me be so
I
limited,
will
Arthur?
not tolerate your disrespect in my own household, Margaret. You may be my wife's stepsister, but my decision is final. Consequently, your rudeness has compromised your request in having any consideration of mine, and I will strongly decline.
Then our business here is done, and I shall bid you good night. But do not think you will not regret your decision, Arthur. Come, ladies, we have no interest here. I speak truthfully when I say a long face does not compliment your complexion at all, dear. Now tell me, whatever is the matter?
Your stepsisters are quite the burden.
How so?
They are adamant on the idea of arranging marriage between Harriet and your nephew William.
But you see, William is a lovely young man.
which I have no doubt. I just do not believe it's in Harriet's best interest to be handed away so easily.
What, sir? But what else is it that bothers you, dear?
Same thoughts that bother me every night.
Oh, Arthur, your insomnia will not improve unless you attempt to let go of the past. And you promise me you haven't been smoking that pipe.
Don't understand, Elmer. You weren't the one who had to come home alone to tell Harriet. You have no idea how many years I spent wishing it was me and not him.
He was my son too.
I know. I need to be alone for a while. I'll be retiring to the library. Please continue with the party.
He's never got Robert, has he? Lord Arthur?
Well, if it was a son of mine that had died, it would have taken me more than a lifetime to return to a mere half the man I previously was.
Did you ever hear about what happened to Henry?
Not really. Lord Arthur only speaks about him in the little sleep he gets, and even then it's a mixture of distorted screams.
I cannot imagine what he went through.
Many sleepless nights, many boxes of tobacco, and the only person who really knows what happened is Lord Arthur himself.
Permission to enter, my lord.
If you will.
I was asked by your lady Anna to bring you this chamomile. She says it will help with your insomnia.
No, thank you, Nancy. I will not be needing any chamomile tonight. Not even tea for this stage of trouble.
Of course, my lord. I will see you in the morning.
I'm so sorry.
Just because Lord Arthur didn't answer doesn't mean he doesn't want us to enter. He could be dead for all we know. Now let's hurry in. It's already 8:30. The poor man will be starving. He's dead! What are you doing still standing there? Help! We need help! He was perfectly fine just yesterday. You don't think... No, surely not. He could... Oh no, he wouldn't have. Helen! Wait!
And ship her off on that Titanic boat, then have his little daughter even encounter your William.
Now, Edith, let's not stretch that far.
The point is, if we're going to get his money, his cooperation, we must improve our persuasive skills and get Arthur, who is so unreasonably grave, to approve.
And if he does not?
Oh, he will. He definitely will.
Oh, that's a great one.
Yes, I think that was Christmas 1906. The Papa was helping Geoffrey set up the tree when...
Yes. Okay. Hey, who's that?
Oh, that was Henry.
Oh.
I don't want to...
Help! Help! Somebody help! He's in the library! He's dead! Remember to breathe, Fiona. Who is this you're speaking of? It's Lord Arthur! Lord Arthur! He's dead! That's it. Look at me. Are you sure?
Well, Geoffrey, go on and call Dr. Coffin. Nobody is to go near the library until the doctor arrives.
Hello, operator. Operator, yes, it's an emergency. Please put us through to Dr. Coffin. Yes, hello, Dr. Coffin. This is Geoffrey from Malcott Manor. Yes, Malcott Manor. I have some very distressing news, Doctor. Lord Arthur has passed, and unfortunately, it seems to be under suspicious circumstances. Doctor, we need your help. Could you please come as soon as possible? We will be waiting for you. Thank you, Doctor.
Really? He was such understanding? Yes, thank you, Edith. Understanding man. Such is there something you would like to say, Edith?
Well, Margaret, I was trying to say something nice about the man.
Well, go on then.
Well, it's hard to compliment the poor man when you've already used the word that I was intending to use.
Refrain from being so selfish, Edith. I do not know how it is possible that you manage to turn every situation into being about you.
What's the word? Respectable?
Now, Amelia, let's not babble far-fetched lies.
Excuse me, ladies. I think it would be best if you would grace us without your presence at this present time.
And who do you think you are? You're just some commoner who used to iron others' undergarments. How
ladies.
dare you think you can speak to us like that?
Ladies, I think it is for the best. If you just follow me.
And to think we will tolerate your barbaric behaviour, but only until after the will is read, when we get our money and dear moment with Arthur. And then we shall never have to face the embodiment of your uneducated minds again. Come, ladies.
Oh, if only she understood the fantastic words she uses.
Doctor, what happened?
Well, it seems your father had a smoking habit. Is this true?
I suppose, although he never did it when anyone else was around.
Ordinarily, I would suggest that his manner of death had no external connections and that he perhaps died of cardiac arrest. In this case, however, I think this not to be true, as after inspecting the pipe, I can conclude that it was no ordinary herb your father had been smoking. When did you say he was discovered?
Well, Helen and Nancy found him this morning, which means this could have happened late last night or dawn today.
Quite so. So the pipe, we'll say he was smoking last night. That's about right. Anyway, the herb in the pipe shaft and remaining leaves in the box beside it is uncommon, potentially poisonous. To be brief, it is likely that the substance inside the pipe is to blame for Lord Arthur's death. But due to the unusual appearance of the herb, lends to the possibility that it has been intentionally placed.
Oh, my! What are your instructions, Doctor?
Since I myself am not qualified to conduct a case such as this, I think it best I contact a friend from the town east of here. He, being a detective, would be more suited to this matter.
And until then?
Until then, everybody is to remain in town.
Oh, thank you, Doctor.
Lady Harriet.
I just need a moment with you. Oh, Papa! I don't know what I should have done, what I should have said before this. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Papa. But you can be at peace now with Henry. You will be missed.
Dr. Coffin, is there anything I can get for you so that you may be more comfortable?
No, thank you, Nancy. Detective Graves should be here any moment.
Of course, would you prefer I left before he arrives?
I would. Thank you, Nancy. Ah, Victor Graves. It's been a while.
Indeed. And being professionals, I prefer if you refer to me by my title for the duration of the case.
Of course, detective.
Now, how old is the body?
It was discovered this morning.
Time?
8:30 a.m.
Estimated time of death.
Between 11 p.m. and 8 a.m. this morning.
And I presume you deduce the cause of death, Doctor.
Something related to the herb in the pipe, detective.
Indeed. Procession to autopsy.
Of course.
Now, it'd be very helpful if you were to set up the autopsy lab while I inspect the rest of us.
Of course.
a silent killer. It's odorless, tasteless, and releases concentrated fatal toxins only when burnt, contracting the lungs, followed by convulsions and suffocation. Visible effects include violet-induced lips and death, obviously. There's no disturbance to the furniture, no physical evidence on the pipe or tobacco box. And the poison itself looks fresh. Whoever did this knew what they were doing. Suspects? The household, of course. Conclusion? A planned murder and a clever and cunning murderer. Verdict? Questioning commences mid-morning on the morrow.
Telling a half-truth if I were to say I felt pity on Alma. Besides from her first losing Henry, and then Arthur, the bright side is she's left with a whole mountain of money. Just think of the possibilities.
What you're saying, sisters, might be true, but I've heard whispers that Malcott Manor is about to enter some serious debt in the foreseeable future.
Don't be absurd, Amelia. If we all thought like that, we'd be beggars on the streets, too afraid to use the riches of which we have.
There is truth to which Amelia speaks, Margaret. Just the other day.
That is quite enough, Edith. Your negativity and lack of opportunistic insight is draining, and I fear it is quite the catalyst for the folds of skin that have been appearing upon my brow in these last few days.
Those are wrinkles, Margaret.
How dare you interrupt me? Being my sister does not mean you are above me. It's a part of life, Margaret. Both of you, stop talking. You have just displayed the extent of your rudeness, and I will not stand to hear another word of it. Now both of you, be quiet and sit down.
It all happened so quickly.
Yeah.
I wonder what they're going to do with him.
Him?
His body.
Oh, I probably should have told you this yesterday, but, the detective arrived this afternoon,
What?
and he's concluded that it's a murder.
And?
They're performing the autopsy before dusk, to be sure.
And you forgot to tell me?
I just didn't think...
No, you didn't think, Charlie. If you had, you would have told me.
Listen, Harriet, I'm sorry, okay? I just didn't think it was that big of a deal.
It is to me, Charlie. This is Papa we're talking about, and someone has killed him.
Where are you going?
To speak with the detective. And then I'm going to be alone.
Oh, no. I think it unwise to pursue a woman consumed by her own fire of fury. But she just... Oh, I know. And then she quite so... The ways of women are something we just cannot understand. This, you must learn, Charlie. We simply observe from a distance, and we do not interfere in their ways.
Well, good thing you told me about this before I interfered.
Indeed. Now, we can only pray that the detective finds what he is looking for.
Is everything ready?
Yes. Did you discover anything significant?
Death by the poison Sertanius Devius, intentionally placed. The conclusion being a prepared murder.
So we're looking for remnants of the poison and any other internal damage, correct?
Correct.
Then I shall begin. Well, that was unexpected. And again, not to worry, most of the internal organs are still somewhat intact. Oh. Intestine! And just look at this liver! As you can see, Detective, I become very excited with the inspection of internal organs.
I see.
Oh, blimey! This heart is in tip-top shape! Very impressive! And now the lungs. Yes, quite extraordinary. The inner muscles have appeared to have undergone a lot of strain before death, which would normally suggest some form of cardiac suffocation.
Usually it suggests some form of cardiac arrest.
Right. In some cases, yes, Detective, but judging from the greenish tint of the tissue, I'd suggest it was quite more than that, keeping in mind the spectacular health of all the other organs. I believe you were right in concluding this is due to the substance known as Sertanius Devius.
Indeed. Having confirmed my discovery, I'll proceed to inform the household immediately. Say, Doctor, a mind such as yours would be greatly appreciated in the coming days. Would you agree in assisting me in this case?
Unfortunately, I have patients to attend to in the coming days, but I would happily meet with you in the evenings, Detective.
Then it is decided. We'll meet at 6:30 at the tavern until this case is put to rest.
Yes, of course. But please take caution, as it is likely you will be in the company of a killer in the coming days.
It is true that dead men, such as myself, tell no tales. However, there are no principles that prevent the tale being told by the dead man's ghost. After a faltering start, the doctor proved fruitful in his methods of butchering my remnants, and indeed, the detective would be in the company of a killer in the coming days, and he'd be so blissfully unaware of the ground he would uncover, as well as the justice he would have to serve. Starting with his deliverance of the news to my mourning family.
As to inform us as to when the lawyer will be arriving to read the will?
Lady Margaret, do you ask out of a genuine sense of curiosity, or perhaps a sense of assumption that you have a cut in the inheritance that Lord Arthur has left behind?
The rudeness emanating from you is so terribly thick, I am struggling to breathe. If I knew any better, I'd say you killed the poor man yourself with your own stifling ambience.
Lady Margaret, you're accusing me of foul play?
Oh, detective! How good to see you. What news do you bring? Well, I can confirm that the death of Lord Arthur was indeed further notice. Everyone will be seen as suspicious, and questioning will commence tomorrow. Good night. I cannot believe one of us could be accused of doing such a terrible thing. Say, butler.
You accusing me of murder, Lady Margaret?
Say, this man's rather cluey, don't you think, ladies? If I were uneducated, I would have thought he was the detective.
But fortunately for you, you are educated, and we can clearly observe that he is nothing more than a butler, a parasite to the family he works for. He's probably been playing this whole thing for months, getting good standing with Arthur, a place in the will, who knows?
Please, all of you stop. This is nonsense. Accusing people you have no evidence for. Oh, Harriet. So quick to step in and stop the fight, aren't you? You're so good.
You've got to be bad. Who'd have thought my little niece could have done a single bad thing, let alone murder her own father?
How dare you? You were the first to ask when the will reading would be. And no wonder. I would take any chance to obtain even a slither of fortune, especially if I was as broke as yourself.
Watch your tongue, girl. Besides,
If we could all please stop talking. The fact of the matter is, my husband's dead. Harriet, your father's D-E-A-D. So I think it'd be best if we all just went and had some tea.
Mother, where have you been?
Yes. So, I went to go find my teeth, and then I found some milk in the plate. Now, what's going on?
Your son-in-law is dead.
I can't go over this again.
Harriet, darling! Was it something I said?
Now, who would like some tea?
Right, so the family members and so on. Lady Alma, if I could please have a word. Absent. Now, I understand this may be difficult for you to speak of, but it will be of great benefit to your husband's case if you answer these questions as thoroughly as possible. Of course. Now, what was happening on the night of Lord Arthur's murder?
Well, we were hosting a garden party.
I see. And how was this party?
It was splendid. Everybody was having a wonderful time.
And Arthur?
Well, he seemed to have what looked to be an amusing conversation with my mother, Wilma, and I had a brief talk with him after he'd spoken with my stepsisters, Margaret, Edith, and the other one.
Amelia.
Yes.
Now, did anything change in his character after this conversation?
Well, he was quite upset with Margaret for a reasonable suggestion she made.
And what suggestion was this?
Margaret had proposed an arranged marriage for Harriet to her son William.
Even though they stand as cousins?
Well, yes, although not technically, as Margaret and I do not share the same bloodline.
I see. Was this the only cause of his disturbance?
Well, not quite. Arthur used to go off to his library whenever he was troubled, often smoking a pipe a friend in the village made for him. After the passing of our son Henry.
I apologise if this is upsetting you. But is there anyone else that knows about this habit of Arthur's?
Well, everybody knew, but nobody spoke of it, especially when Arthur was around.
I see. Now, where were you between 11 and 8:30 this morning?
Well, last night, I was attending my moisturising routine, of course. All that socialising was quite a strain on my little skin. And this morning, I was moisturising again, come to think of it.
I see. Thank you very much, Lady Alma. If you could please call in Lady Harriet on your way out.
Absolutely. Harriet, dearie. Mamma said you'd like a word.
Yes, indeed. Please come sit down. Or not. Now, Lady Harriet.
I apologise for interrupting, Detective, but you can just call me Harriet.
Of course. Harriet, where were you the morning of the party?
My aunt Margaret and I and our maid Nancy went to the village to shop for the garden party.
And at any point did you reside away from the festivities?
Yes.
And may I ask why?
I overheard a conversation between my step-aunt and Papa, which I was more than irritated about.
And after hearing this, to where did you leave?
I went to the lake in the woods for a while.
Alone?
Yes.
And what did you do while you were there?
I was remembering the time Henry and I I'm sorry.
Would you mind telling me what happened to Henry?
It was the first tragedy of our family.
Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. The world is full of obvious things which nobody by any chance ever observes. I see you have a fine taste in literature, just like Papa. He must be so very proud.
Hilarious, Henry. Quite the comedian, I dare say.
Oh, now, I'm only teasing.
May I have my book returned to you then?
I think I shall like to keep it. Maybe sneak a glance at her during tea after I've shot a pesky rabbit or two. Yes, I think that would be quite nice. Don't you?
Are you ready, Henry? The forest awaits, my boy.
Just a moment, Papa. Now, Harry, don't be getting into too much music. I don't want you having all the fun.
I won't, but Papa, Henry, perhaps you could wait and go hunting tomorrow.
Harriet, when did you become such a nervous Nelly?
I just think let the boys enjoy their day in the sun. I don't see why you're fussing so much. But
Harriet, we'll be back before tea. You want to be the night we'll be gone. And as a token of my goodwill, I'll take good care of your book. You can have it back the moment we come home.
I just
If that's enough, Harriet. Now, come along, Henry. Time waits for no man.
Papa,
Yes, Harriet.
please promise you'll look after him.
We'll be gone for less than half a day.
I know, just please promise you'll bring him back safe. I just don't have a good feeling about this.
All right. If it puts your mind at rest, I give you my word. Now, go along and enjoy your day. We'll be back before tea.
Where are they, Mama? It's almost tea time, dear. That's a good minute.
Tea's ready, my lady.
Thank you, Nancy. I knew there was something not right.
Harriet, please, let's go have tea. I'm sure they'll be home soon.
I can't.
Now, let's not jump to conclusions. And come along, tea will be cold and great.
I'll come when I know he's home.
Oh, Harriet, I do wish you'd stop with all this worrying. Well, I'm off for tea, and you're welcome to join me at any time.
What if maybe he said, but I knew you gave me a heart attack, Papa. I thought, Papa, where's Henry? Where is Henry, Papa? I'm so sorry, Harriet. Please tell me you're not saying what I think you are. It was dark, we were lost. No! Harriet, please. You promised. You gave me your word. What are you holding? It was all I could. No, Harriet, don't touch me. Stay away from me. Henry, don't you say his name. I can't even look at you.
What is going on in here, Arthur? Why are you so dirty? Oh! Where's Henry?
He fell. I'm so sorry, Mom. Don't say. I tried so hard.
But
He was my son.
Harriet?
She won't speak to me.
Lady Harriet?
Heavens above, Geoffrey.
Oh, I'd be a tad worried if you'd said the heavens were below, Lady Harriet.
What are you doing here?
Oh, fancy that. I was about to ask you the same question. How very coincidental.
I'm meeting someone.
At this hour of night, what would your mother say?
It's only the detective. And besides, it's only down at the tavern.
Well, I suppose that's all right. As it is my duty, I will simply escort you there myself.
That won't be necessary, thank you, Geoffrey.
I don't want to argue with you, Lady Harriet, but for the sake of your mother's sanity and my own, I think I need to escort you.
I would prefer to go alone, Geoffrey.
Well, if you do not allow it, I will simply follow of my own accord.
Good evening. Where are you off?
My answer will make no difference to your wanting to follow, so I won't waste my breath in explaining.
Righto. Well, I actually wanted to talk to you as I've been thinking.
Yes?
Well, first I wanted to say sorry about yesterday. I should have told you about the detective, and I didn't.
That's okay, Charlie. I shouldn't have gotten so angry myself.
Great. But I also wanted to hear your thoughts on something else I've been thinking about.
Oh?
Well, before everything happened, before the garden party, I found some of the poisonous plant substance the detective was talking about.
And?
Well, of course, I didn't know what it was at the time, but I was thinking I had seen it somewhere before.
What?
It's very misleading, as the actual plant looks almost like a flower. But I saw it being planted in the gardens a few weeks or so ago, and there aren't a good many people in the household who tend to the gardens.
Did you say you might know who did it?
Well, it's impossible to be completely certain yet, but I know I'm getting close. There's just something missing.
I'm sorry, I've really got to run.
Where are you off to?
Promise I won't tell Mama, but I'm going to meet the detective at the tavern. I really have to know who did this to Mama.
Alright, and I know you'll find them. Just be careful, will you?
You know I will. See you tomorrow?
Till tomorrow.
I'm telling you, the beast was this big, and boy was it hard to pull on.
Oh, Dixie. When will you learn? You ain't no good at fiddling.
Fibbin, why is
A
a little...
little what? Go on, you goose. Yap away.
You've got it coming out of your butt.
Well, go on then.
Come on, Bob!
And to you. Welcome, Harriet. Oh, we can't stay long as I've some papers to complete at the station. However, we will briefly fill you into what the doctor and I have been discussing in your absence. Starting with the interesting discoveries found through the autopsy, shall we?
Right, so after a thorough investigation of your father's internal organs, we discovered that during the event of his death, all his vital organs were in prime condition. However, it was the lungs that had been severely damaged.
How so, Doctor?
The inner tissue lining had developed a greenish tint, not to mention the burns all the way down through the esophagus and alveoli.
And did you discover the substance responsible for these symptoms?
Indeed, all of what I've just shared with you points to the plant known as Sertanius deafis.
All right. So, presuming someone premeditated this act, did the crime scene reveal anything that could be of use, Detective?
Well, the herb itself was found burnt in the pipe and in your father's tobacco box. The position of the surrounding furniture suggested he was killed indirectly by suffocation. The only objects and fingerprints in the room belonged to those of the household and Lord Arthur himself.
All right. So we know how Papa was killed, when and where he was killed. It's only a matter of finding who and why.
Exactly.
And have you yet searched the grounds for something resembling the poison, or spoken to anyone to discover a motive?
Well, I have yet to search the grounds, and it was only yourself and your mother which I have spoken to intentionally.
All right. I believe we have our work cut out for us then, Doctor.
Indeed.
Will we be meeting at the same time tomorrow evening?
I believe so.
Will do. I thank you both very much for assisting me in this case, and I will see you both tomorrow. Good day.
1/6, cold milk, and the final 6, full of sugar cube, of course.
I've never seen so much conscious effort put into preparing cups of tea using bags. Imagine the amount of mental effort it would take to make an entire pot of tea. Oh, are you sure you wouldn't expire if you had to make an entire pot?
Look, I can't see you helping my situation with your blunt negativity, Jeffrey. Perhaps if you'd ever made a cup of tea in your life, you might understand my predicament.
Excuse me, who do you think made tea for the Malcotts in the morning before they decided to throw away a heap of money and employ you?
Save your breath, Jeffrey.
I wouldn't rather use it to stir up anybody else. Thank you, Helen.
Well, you'd better stop your waffling before Alma's wonderful stepsisters decide to grace us with their presence. Because if the same talk continues from your mouth, things between them and you will get very ugly very fast.
I think it'd be better if he just stopped talking altogether.
Oh.
Now that would be nice.
You two ladies are just so amusing. Should I be taking notes?
I knew I could smell something sour.
I prefer not to enjoy my tea whilst in the presence of the lone.
I agree with Amelia. Perhaps we should rather go back to London and enjoy finer meals amongst finer company.
Good morning, ladies. How are you today?
I'm pleasantly surprised you even asked.
Oh no, I apologize, Lady Margaret. I have actually no interest in how you are today. I was merely being polite.
Ladies, your tea is ready.
I have had a loss of appetite, I'm afraid.
Oh dear.
By the attitude you so kindly already displayed this morning, I would expect one of you servants has most certainly poisoned it, just like you did to Arthur.
With all respect.
Respect? Girls, you even know the correct manner in which to use that word.
And yet the crow continues to speak. Enough is enough. I cannot believe what the world has come to. Before we know it, servants such as these will be openly confessing to murdering their masters. What a frightening thought. I didn't.
How intellectually challenged can one person be? Yes, my dear sister Amelia was politely suggesting that one of you financially inept pity workers could have possibly been the murderer who's responsible for all the fuss that's been circulating this household in the past few days. But now, I'll admit, there is no possible way dear Amelia was right. None of you are intelligent enough to have imagined such a feat.
Oh, thank you, Lady Margaret. We so appreciate your wisdom and your insights and your humility in pointing out just how inferior we are in comparison to people such as yourselves.
You're very welcome. We are quite intelligent, aren't we, sisters?
Well, in that case, perhaps intelligent enough to carry out the murder of Lord Arthur.
You have breached the extent of our tolerance. I cannot believe.
So rude, accusing nobility's criminal offence, we should.
Come, sisters. I cannot stand another moment in the presence of the lowly. I fear I will be ill.
Congratulations, Jeffrey. Now we'll be next on their culling list.
I did try to warn you.
Well, I actually think that conversation went rather well.
And why would that be? All I saw was the fruition of my body. All of it. Between you and those witches. Ever being reasonable was 7. The moment you opened your mouth.
don't you think the situation strange?
An explanation might be more helpful in this case, Jeffrey.
Well, I thought you might have put it together by now. I mean, you know, you need to listen to what I say. What I say is carefully considered. Now, think back. What was happening before those 3 women arrived?
Well, from what I saw, everything was fine.
Well, almost. You have to admit, Wilma is
No. Lady Wilma is the least of our worries. Besides, you know, losing her teeth on a regular basis and getting lost in the garden. Frankly, she wouldn't hurt anybody. I can't shake the feeling, though, that those 3 women are up to no good.
You could be onto something, Jeffrey. When did they arrive? What, a few weeks ago?
Yes, I think that's it. It was late afternoon, Monday last when I let them in. I asked on what terms they were here, and they replied it was to see Lord Arthur.
Yes.
No explanation, as if they didn't want anyone to know.
Precisely. And then just a few days later, Lord Arthur is found dead. Coincidence? I think not.
Are we sure our judgment isn't clouded by our strong dislike for these women?
Think about it, Helen. Just yesterday, Lady Margaret. I overheard at the garden party that they were trying to get Lord Arthur's consent for one of their sons to be married to Harriet. Then yesterday they asked rather rudely when the will was to be read. If I knew any better, I'd say they're after the man's money. They've got enough people power to do it, and 2 witnesses each to cover up their alibis. Or should I say, alibis.
Yes, it's time that we work together. We need to sort things out before things get any worse. We need to gather the facts.
Good morning. Miss Baker, have you happened to have seen Harriet or my mother Wilma anywhere?
I haven't seen them since yesterday morning.
Lady
and I'm
Alma.
wondering of their whereabouts.
I'm sorry.
As mother, never Mrs. Crochet.
I'm sorry, Lady Alma. I have not seen them. Helen, Jeffrey, you...
As I was trying to say, in the garden. I saw her in the garden.
Thank you, Mr. Moon.
A pleasure.
Also, would you please inspect the living room fireplace?
Oh, I shall do that.
I've noticed it has become somewhat smoggy in there. Now, as you're aware, I'm sorry, but where did you say my mother was again?
In the garden.
Ah, yes, that's right. In the garden. Cheerio.
Today I planted 3 daffodils. Tomorrow I'll plant 4.
Were they really daffodils? Of that, I am not sure.
More tea. That's what the French said to me. More tea, more tea. More tea. Sounds good to me. Darling! Oh, we haven't seen each other since the other night. Oh, so good to see you.
Yeah, sorry to disappoint Lady Wilma, but I'm Becky, not Harriet.
Oh, you'll just have to fill in for her.
Lady Wilma.
Oh, none of that silly little title nonsense. It just means you have to spend more time saying more words.
Call me Wilma.
All right, Wilma, would you have any idea as to where Harriet may be?
Harriet. Oh, yes, Harriet. I'd say she's off somewhere, her head buried in a book. But there are no such times. when it comes to young love. Of course, young love, I might be getting old and baggy, but sure as eggs. I still have some eyesight left. Yes, it's with that young fellow she's always with. What's his name? Chum, that's the one!
Yes, I've noticed she started spending her time with him as well.
I'm noticing some strong jealousy, Miss Becky.
There you are, Mother. I've been searching for you everywhere.
You found me! How lovely!
Hello, Miss Devon. What brings you here?
I just came to check on Harriet.
Oh, I think I last saw her in the library.
Thank you kindly, Lady Anna. I'll go catch up with them.
What a lovely little lady!
Yes, she's been quite the loyal companion for Harriet.
Now, how long have you been out here for, Mother? Yes, I went to go find my tea, still at 9 now, check with that. Then I caught up with my love.
Sounds wonderful, sounds wonderful. Just as long as you don't wander too far. I have to crochet alone.
Crochet! I love crochet! That reminds me. Where are you off to? Oh, yes, I've been summoned and must complete my quest. They need me.
Who needs you? All right, never mind. I shall have other matters in the meantime.
So, why are we reading these again?
Because, Charlie, if we're going to know, and I mean really know who did this to Papa, we have to research all the way murderers of fiction got away with their crimes.
So, Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. That
Hey, I'm sorry. This book just means a lot to me. I prefer...
we read some others?
Yes.
I get it, of course. So, The Mystery of Edwin Drood. Now, that sounds like a good one.
So we're looking for a motive, a means, and an opportunity.
So, what have we got so far?
We have... This seems ridiculous, Charlie.
What does?
We're only 16 and we're trying to solve a murder that might not be able to be solved.
All right, so yes, we're not exactly the most qualified, but if we help as best as we can, then the people who are will be able to solve this mystery faster. We're doing everything we can for your father, for Lord Owen.
I guess you're right. Where were we? Okay, we know the means was by poison herbs.
So, do you know who could have grown or bought this herb?
Not yet, but the detective is doing a search of the grounds today.
All right, and the suspect?
Well, everyone, I suppose, even you and I. The only people least likely to be suspects are the villagers, as they had no way of getting inside, unless somehow climbed onto the roof and came down the chimney. But never mind.
All right, so let's assume the suspects would have had to been those in the household that evening. Obviously, there was nobody else around at the time of the murder. So, I think it would only be logical to first ask everyone where they were at the time of the murder. That seems to be the standard question in all of these novels.
Yes, the detective has already started that sort of question.
Oh, so has he spoken to you yet?
He spoke to Lamar and I yesterday morning.
And I presume he'll be asking others in the coming days and notifying you about the findings tonight?
Yes, but I hope there's more to talk about this evening.
All right. And hopefully he's taking into consideration what I've suggested to him as well.
Oh, you mean what you told me on the way to the tavern last night?
Yes, I've been thinking about it a lot actually, and I figured I wasn't able to get very far on my own, so I thought he might find it useful.
I hope it's proven useful today. I just hope he finds who did it.
Harriet,
Yes, Charlie?
you don't think Lord Arthur himself could be a suspect?
Well, I suppose he could be. I knew he was sad, but not like that. Although Papa was a good man to where his heart was.
I was just thinking it could be, you know.
Yes. Perhaps we'll leave that to the detective's discretion. Harriet? Oh, Becky!
Hello. I just came to see how you're doing, but I'm guessing now isn't a good time.
No, we were just finishing up. Come in.
No, really, I should go.
Becky, please stay.
No, it's fine. I'll see you later.
Where are you going?
To get Becky.
Charlie, there's been a request for you to clean the chimney in the library in the east wing. Apparently there must be a blockage or something, and the atmosphere is rather smoggy, and the ladies are struggling to read.
Yes, well, I'd better go make myself useful.
Absolutely, let's go.
Yapping on about donkey, I said it didn't happen. Bessie, that's what you are.
regular occurrence.
I see. Harriet, I was just explaining to the doctor my findings of today.
Please, carry on.
So, before the murder, there were two significant windows of time. Just before, as the placement of the poison was not prominent in the previous smokings. And further before that, the obtaining of the poison itself.
Both of which could only have been achieved by those in the household.
Correct. So, we have the opportunity, meaning it would have had to be pre-placed, either before your father's last smoke, which would have been
Geoffrey usually fills his box in the morning.
the butler,
Yes.
or in between the garden party and your father's retirement.
Yes, I suppose that makes sense.
Now, tell me, was there anyone who was not at the manor during this time?
Well, as I told you, myself, Nancy, and my Aunt Margaret were in the village shopping.
And from the party, was there anyone that left earlier?
My aunts, Margaret, Edith, and Amelia. And I presume Nancy was inside, as I didn't see her throughout the evening.
I see. Then I know who I must speak to next.
And the book?
Ah, yes. At the crime scene, there was a copy of Sherlock Holmes sitting beside where your father lay. But when I went to collect it this morning, I found it gone.
Oh, Charlie must have accidentally picked it up and brought it to where we were studying.
And what were you studying, if I may ask?
He was only trying to help.
Oh, with your father's case?
Yes.
Well, I must admit, he is quite resourceful. Having spoken with him this afternoon, he showed me something hidden between the pages of the novel before our meeting here.
May I ask what it was?
A message from the killer themselves.
Thus, narrowing our search. Now tell me, who was the original owner of this book?
It was Henry's.
I see. Thank you, Harriet. I must speak to Charlie directly. I will see you again next evening. Good night.
Good night, Detective. Doctor.
Planted previously, placed beforehand by a killer with a connection to Arthur twisted by a motive. Margaret, Edith, Amelia, Helen? Perhaps the answer is closer than we think.
My, there was a bit of smog in there, ain't there? Well, off to work. Oi! No! Don't light the fire! No, please! Don't light the fire! The top is blocked! I can't get out! Help! Help!
Some say every killer is a signature, a mark, a message that they leave with their victims. For poor Charlie and I, it was a single flame that produced a smoke which led to our demise. The murderers brand. If you play with fire, beware of the smoke.
Charlie! Are you in here? Charlie!
one to properly prepare one's hair with such noise.
You'd think someone had died with all the fuss you two are making in here.
Sisters? Oh! Good spotting, Amelia. Whatever's wrong with him?
He's dead. That's what's wrong with him.
Oh! How inconvenient! Whoever will sweep the chimneys now?
Nick, what are we gonna do?
It'll be okay.
Were you ever taught not to lie? Of course everything is not going to be all right. Arthur's dead. That poor chimney boy is dead. Who knows who'll be next? Feeding her false hopes will only make reality more painful.
Very wise words, sister.
Thank you, Edith. I am quite wise. I am very sorry for your loss, but as I believe with death, Lord Arthur and Charlie are connected, I must urge you all to stay aware and cautious of each other until the case has been put to rest. How absurd!
Who knows which one of us will be next? I'd say we will leave and save our room next.
Unfortunately, I require you all to stay at the manor as I'm yet to finish my investigation.
Have you seen Charlie?
Don't bother looking for him, dear. He's dead.
He's dead.
And he isn't getting any deader once we waste our time to hear about it.
But he can't be. I was talking to him just yesterday afternoon.
I'm sorry, Harriet. I saw the body myself. They're telling the truth.
But I'm sorry, I need to be alone for a while.
Hello!
Where's she off to? And why isn't anybody talking? I might have thought somebody had died from the atmosphere here.
Charlie has just been found in the fireplace, dead. Harry just received the news.
Ed! Whoever will marry dear Harriet now! I must have a little talk with her.
Oh, I would not think it wise.
Whoever gave him a dime, that's what a silly little detective thought. Oh wait! Nobody!
He's going to receive We can only hope whoever's killing us off chooses her next.
Now, Margaret, Edith, and Amelia, we must not wait any longer. I must interrogate all of you at once.
I suppose we don't get much of a choice in the matter, but yes, we shall do you that honor.
Come this way.
Now, let's start the funeral arrangements, shall we?
Who's Charlie? Oh, yes. I'm very disappointed in him.
Oh?
Yes, he left you. A future widow! A future what? A widow! In the future. You'll both go to sail off on that magnificent ship to America. What the heck was it called again?
Tang?
Yes, that's the one! Harriet and Charlie. Does not sound quite right now, does it? You need more appropriate sing-song names like Racing Jack! Oh, what a perfect!
Amusing Tang, but I should be going.
Oh, why all the rush? Besides, I already know the answer to what you and that silly little detective keep asking.
You do?
Yes, I'm not going to tell you. That'll take all the fun out of it.
There's nothing fun about the murder, Granny.
Oh, waddle away in your misery. I'm off to find him.
Find who?
Silly little detective, of course.
I think I need to find a detective too.
Lady Margaret, please come in. Have a seat. Or not again. Now, when did you arrive at Malcott Manor?
Exactly 3 weeks ago, Detective.
And on what terms did you come?
That is none of your concern, Detective.
If it involves Lord Arthur, I'm afraid it is.
Fine. It was to propose a matter of arranging a marriage
Between my son, William,
and Arthur's daughter, Harriet.
even though they stand as cousins.
Alma and I are stepsisters, meaning the two are not related.
I see. And did Lord Arthur agree to this proposal?
I was slowly receiving his cooperation, you could say, but of course Alma was completely on board, as she would be in her situation.
I see. Now, tell me, do you have an interest in gardening by any chance?
I fail to see the relevance in your question, Detective. But yes, you could say so.
And I hear you departed early from the garden party.
Yes,
Why is that?
Arthur and I had a small disagreement.
About the marriage.
Yes,
And where did you leave?
my sisters and I went to enjoy tea in the library.
I see. That is all I have to ask you. Please bring in one of your sisters on your way out.
I suppose. Edith?
Lady Edith, please sit down. Now, on what terms did you come to Malcott Manor?
I came here to support Margaret and her endeavours.
And where were you the morning of the murder?
Enjoying a nice stroll through the forest with dear Amelia.
And your whereabouts the night of the murder?
My sisters and I were crocheting in the sitting room.
I see. That's all I have to ask. Please call in Lady Amelia on your way out.
I suppose I can arrange that. Amelia! Edith, the detective awaits your presence.
Just a moment. I must prepare myself as I descend into the slowly.
Lady Amelia, please sit down and we'll begin. Now, what brought you to Malcott Manor?
Margaret.
By the tone in your voice, I believe you are unimpressed.
That's quite the understatement. She's only here for Arthur's money that would now be Harriet's. And now that he's dead, with Alma prepared to marry Harriet after William, Margaret's plan is to steal a good portion of the fortune and run off. Edith and I would receive a single dime. We're only here breaking her back to catching her as she
to a failure.
I see. Now, where were you the morning of the party?
We were strolling through the woods with dear Edith.
And after the party?
The three of us drinks in the billiard room.
Thank you for your time, Lady Amelia. That is all I have to ask.
Thank you.
It was much more pleasant speaking with you than it was Margaret.
I actually got to speak.
All three claim to be together, but in different locations at the same time. But there's something missing.
Detective?
Oh, Becky, how can I help you?
Well, I've been thinking, and I'm not sure if it will help your case, but I saw Wilma in the morning after the autopsy. She said she'd been there since before and after the final interview, after the garden party. She mistook me for Harriet, and we kept talking.
Yes.
Becky, there you are. Sorry, am I interrupting something?
No, it's fine, we were just finishing up.
I wanted to talk.
I have to help Carl at the tavern.
Can I come with you? I really want to talk.
Don't you have to help with the
Oh, yes, I suppose so. Talk to you later then.
Harriet, are you quite alright?
Yes. I should go, please.
Of course. Will I see you this evening at the tavern?
I would, Detective, but as Becky said, I have to help with the funeral arrangements.
Of course. I will fill you in afterwards.
Thank you.
Such inefficiency.
What do you make of these arum lilies? I think they were brought out Arthur's eye. If he could still open them.
Very nice, Lady Emma. What were you thinking of the invitation arrangements?
Of course, it is only appropriate that the whole village is invited. This is a celebration.
Lady Elmer, you are aware that we're preparing for a funeral.
Of course, a funeral is a celebration of a life.
But your husband's was cut short intentionally.
He still lived longer than Charlie now, didn't he?
Well, she has a point.
Miss Helen, would you mind if I asked you a few creative questions?
And of course then, come along, Geoffrey. We shall continue our plans in the graveyard.
In the graveyard?
Are you hard of hearing, Geoffrey?
No, not at all. I can hear you quite well.
Well then, come along.
Yes, m'lady.
Now, I understand you were first on scene in the death of Lord Arthur.
Yes, I was.
And you were also the first on scene of the death of Charlie.
Yes, Detective.
And what was it like?
Well, it was worse than you could imagine. With Lord Arthur, of course, I was devastated, but I never really knew him. He was just the man who employed me when I needed it most. Pleasant enough, but we never really talked.
And with Charlie?
When I saw him, I'm sorry.
I'm very sorry for your loss. But how long have you been at Malcott Manor?
7 years. Detective, I've been working with since I was a young.
I see. Thank you for your time. That is all I have to ask.
Please, Detective. Will it take anyone else?
Indeed. are full of wonderful surprises now, aren't we?
Now, Harry, there's a little matter which I'd like to discuss with you.
I think it would be best if I did the talking, don't you?
I think
Oh, wonderful. I'm glad you both think you should leave me with our lovely niece for a while you go for a stroll or something of that nature.
of course, Margaret.
Wonderful. Now, Harry, come over here. Stand here, right next to me. Now, Harry, how do you feel about marriage?
I don't.
You must be what? 18?
16, actually.
18, 16? Is there really any difference?
If you had learnt mathematics, Aunt Margaret, you know it was 2 years.
You're missing the point, dear. I shall speak plainly. How would you feel if I were to tell you you are to be wed to William very shortly?
My cousin William.
Yes, your cousin William.
My cousin William?
Yes, your cousin William.
I would be horrified, Aunt Margaret.
Well, that's too bad, because that's the fact of the matter.
What do you mean? Papa would never.
Your dear papa is dead. Your mother has agreed, and you will obey her wishes.
Well, why didn't you bother asking me what I thought then?
I was doing the polite thing, dear, as I often do, and was getting your approval out of respect. Even though it's rather useless, as you have no say anyway.
How dare you? And just before the funeral.
Nobody liked him anyway, Harriet.
He was my father.
He was a wet rag.
I've had enough of this. And I'm not marrying your son, Aunt Margaret. Ever!
You're being unreasonable, Harriet.
I'm not exaggerating when I say that I could not have gone any worse.
I'm giving her a future.
You're getting yourself money, not a happy daughter-in-law.
Being nice uses far too much exertion on my youthfulness. Come, sisters, let us go have some tea.
Watch it!
How much have you been drinking already?
Not hot.
Sorry,
Watch
what's
it.
it, Numpty?
No!
You need a good drink and it's 2 in the
No.
morning. You're already morning you drunk.
Becky. Becky, what's wrong? What have I done? Because
What? You want things to go back to normal?
I don't understand.
I figured as much. I didn't think things could change so quickly in a month.
But you mean Charlie? You can't think I'd
Replace me? Because that's what it feels like. Even when he's dead, you act as though I never meant anything to you.
You're not being reasonable, Becky.
I'm not being unreasonable. You shut me out, Harriet. Everything we used to talk about. Your family, your future, you talk with him about. Even when he's dead, you act as though I never meant anything to you.
Becky, what are you talking about?
You're impossible!
Detective, can I help you?
Would you mind answering a few questions, Nancy?
Of course.
You were with Helen when Lord Arthur was discovered, correct? Indeed. And before the party, where were you?
I was doing housework and organising for the evening.
I see. And you're present for the whole party?
Yes, I was.
Indeed. Now, how long have you been at Malcott Manor?
The Malcotts took me in about 9 years ago.
And has much changed since then?
Well, ever since their son Henry died, I guess you could say things have never been the same.
I see. Now, did you know about Lady Alma's stepsisters before their arrival?
Well, I'd heard of them. I'd never actually seen them until a few weeks ago.
See. I hope the next time we meet will be amidst better circumstances.
Same to you, Detective.
Now, would you be able to point me in the direction of Jeffrey?
He should be in the living room.
Of course, thank you.
Oh, detective! I've been waiting for you.
You have?
Well, not really. I have to confess, I always wanted to say something like that.
Of course. Would you mind if I ask you a few questions?
Please, be my guest.
How long have you been at Malcott Manor?
How long have I been at Malcott Manor? Well, my family have been a line of butlers at the manor for time immemorial, so you could almost say we're part of the family.
So you're happy here then?
You could say so.
Indeed. And am I correct in saying that you were the only one permitted access to Lord Arthur's smoke box?
Yes, this is correct. I actually refilled it the night before the Sunday on which Lord Arthur passed away.
Indeed. And you were present for the whole party?
It was my duty.
Indeed. That is all I have to ask you. Thank you, Jeffrey.
Oh, thank you, detective.
Anything for a best customer.
Nothing ever happened here. The only thing we ever heard was Frankie catching that fish in that old puddle of water in the middle of the forest. Say, you don't think it all too, Wang?
Actually, I might.
There's a penny in it, please.
Well, I'm not one to exaggerate, but I heard there's been 2 murders on top of the hill in the past few days.
You can't be serious.
Aye.
No way. Oi, everyone, you hear that? There's action in this sterile little village after all. 2 murders in 3 days. Rubbish.
Who taught you to think, Gibsy? You ain't very good at it.
No, Basil told me so. Let the dark goose quack, lads. You call me a liar. I ain't calling you a truther. You tell him, Basil. You tell him I ain't lying.
Gibsy's telling the truth. Lord Arthur and his chimney sweep were killed within days of each other. I heard they're reading the will on the morrow.
Absurd. I bet you all already knew about this. What do you say to me, Gibsy? You think one of us killed him? Up for interpretation. You just go up and point in the things with us, but we know. We know it was you.
I reckon it was you.
I reckon it was Frankie. This is not funny. It's clearly Bart.
You crossed the line now, you have. Come on. Come on.
I can tell. Where's Harriet?
Unfortunately, she couldn't meet with us this evening. However, we have important matters to discuss. I feel that I am dangerously close.
Go on.
All this time, we have been eliminating the possibility of there being a witness. Not to the murder itself, but to the periods of time that lay before and afterwards.
Perhaps. Are you telling me this in the reveal that you found her?
I am, Doctor. And I have. She was there when the poison was retrieved and after it was positioned.
How can you be sure? Did you have direct contact with the witness?
No, but I have another link. And right now, it's our only vialistic source.
Alright, I believe you. Were you able to source the novel bag?
Indeed. And whilst I waited for you, I realised just how important it is.
Go on.
Well, I knew it wasn't by chance that it was Arthur's favourite book that was with him on the night he was killed. Inside, the killer had left a message. Here, I'll show it to you.
A photograph?
Indeed, one of the entire Malcott Manor, and a message inscribed on the back. This is putting things right.
How is that any help to us, Detective?
Think about it, Doctor. In this photograph, there are only 2 people intelligent enough to put together plans such as this. And of course, it'd have to be someone who
who's able to go around unnoticed.
has been at the manor so long that they know.
Know where to disguise the weapon.
Someone that has access to the scene.
Premeditated plan?
Oh, Arthur must have done something.
I beg your pardon.
If Arthur hadn't have done anything, there'd be no viable reason to kill him.
What if?
Perhaps they, or might have,
Wanted.
or needed.
Who do you think it is?
Oh, that's brilliant!
What is it?
I know who did it! I know who killed the mother!
Who is it?
It's...
There is a strange bittersweetness in a resolution, knowing the answer that, in the beginning, you weren't sure you'd ever find. It's like reading a novel, finding out that all the good and all the bad that completes the journey must eventually come to an end. I suppose I should feel somewhat satisfied in knowing that the detective can put not only my case, but the minds of many, as well as his own, to rest. But there are some things this world can never satisfy.
They might receive from such a once wealthy man like Arthur. However, it's wonderful to see that you're more interested in the words and legacy you can find.
Of course, dear sister.
Perhaps the detective will have some answers for us as well. We can only hope.
Becky, what are you doing here? I wanted to talk.
And now, I know you're all very anxious to hear what the will has to say. Unfortunately, there are some formalities that I need to go through.
Well, go on then.
Well, first I think we should...
I apologize for the interruption. So you should be waltzing in here as if you have the right to. But I have an important announcement.
Announcements. We love announcements.
Somebody amongst yourselves is a murderer.
Congratulations, detective, for such a fine discovery. There is a reason we are at the will reading of a deceased person.
I will rephrase my statement. I believe I know who the murderer amongst you is. Well, go on then. I have nothing to hide. Ah, but that is where you're wrong, Lady Margaret. You only came to Malcott Manor in search of a fortune, correct? You didn't care whether or not Lord Arthur would give you his consent to an arranged marriage, dead or alive. Although it would be better if he was never considered. It was in the name of love, detective, not murder. I was doing what was best for both of us. In the name of greed, perhaps, yes, but not love. It was best for you and you only. And if you failed, well, at least you could drag along your sisters with you. Which brings me to Lady Alma. In killing your husband, yes, you would receive a tremendous fortune. But you couldn't have killed him. You didn't have the brain capacity, to put it plainly.
Appendage. I live a content life, detective.
Indeed. And so do those of you that work in the manor. Perfectly looked after, treated well. If the Malcotts lost everything, so would you. In that you were just gracious and humble people who needed a way out. And Lord Arthur gave you just that.
He really did. He gave us the hope we thought we'd lost, allowing us to leave behind our old lives. That meant everything. Lord Arthur gave us the second chance we would have perished without.
And then there was Becky, Harriet's friend from the village. Whether or not you realise your place in all this, I'll explain it to you now. It was crucial. The moment you came to me and began to explain, everything made sense. Lady Wilmot was present at every significant point in the chain of events that led to Lord Arthur's death. Of course, the poison would have to be placed when everyone else was preoccupied. So, when Lady Wilmot mistook you for Harriet, it revealed the only person that could ever come up with such an intricate plan.
What are you saying, detective?
What I am saying, Harriet, is that you killed your own father!
That's ridiculous!
But that's what you wanted everyone else to think, isn't it? It's not possible for such a nice, sweet girl to do something so evil. Oh, but it is. It started the very moment we met. You let me in, told me about your past, about Henry. You thought giving away a hint of vulnerability would never have allowed you to commit the crime.
You don't understand, detective. You have no idea the rejection I felt every day that Henry wasn't here. Papa didn't want me. He never had. And if he was responsible for taking away the only person who did, then he deserved to be in the ground with him.
But Charlie, you genuinely liked Charlie. Until it was clear he was too close to the truth. Then you made a plan. Blocked the chimney, sending him to clean it before sending him up in smoke as well.
You don't understand. Charlie played with fire, and he didn't survive.
He didn't deserve to die.
Henry didn't deserve to die. This is all too much to comprehend. Perhaps we should go enjoy some tea.
Now is not appropriate, sister. So, how did you do it?
Don't try to fool me with one of your silly little games, detective. You know how I did it, so don't pretend like you don't.
The only person pretending here, Harriet, is you. And of course I know how you did it. We wouldn't be having this conversation if I didn't. Your answers were the perfect excuse.
It wasn't an excuse, detective. You have no idea what it's like not to have a choice in anything. I don't care anymore. There's nothing here for me.
So,
You went to collect the poison. I'm aware that your grandmother was watching you until she started up a conversation. What looked to be a minor glitch in your meticulous plan. Then, you went into the library, placed the poison, and went out again. You knew your father would enter that night, because that's what he always did. You knew he'd smoke the pipe.
That was all he cared about, Detective, don't you see? Even in his grave, Henry had him thinking about him day and night.
All you wanted was his approval, but you never got it, did you? Even after Henry died, you still couldn't. You blamed your father for taking him into the forest that day. You've been blaming him ever since. So, you targeted his addiction to get your revenge. Maybe even pick up a small fortune along the way.
Stop. We're done here.
It seems we are. Officer, come in.
Harriet Malcott, you have been charged with murder and will spend a life sentence in HM Prison Holloway for your crimes.
Goodbye, Harriet.
This isn't the end, Detective. I will have the last laugh.
I admire your ambition.
Oh, hello! Hey, where's Harriet off to? Harriet!
A stain on the Malcott name, you are.
Selfish child.
Such high expectations, Harriet. Truly I did. And you let them fall straight to the ground. Straight to the ground.
Put back in soup, dear. Well, I think we should all go and have a nice cup of tea.
I suppose we'll
Wait, come, Sister Helen and Nancy. Get just tea, would you? What's going on here?
Your granddaughter has just been sent to prison for the murder of Lord Arthur and Charlie.
Oh, darn! Isn't that quite the spin? It is. Oh. It wasn't the butler all along! The scallywag fooled us, Detective. We'll get him next time.
Seems it's all wrapping up. It's, on reflection, unfortunate that we had to meet under such circumstances. But I would like to thank you for laying the Lord of this manor to rest. Farewell, Detective.
Farewell, Jeffrey.
Lights up.